Good morning. Welcome to Road America, America's National Park of Speed. I'm Carson Wilkinson, the Safety Director here at Road America. What I'd like to go over with you this morning is a few things to make your event here fun and safe, and that you have a fantastic time driving on the track. Okay, now you're out on the racetrack. You're finally where you want to be and you're going to have some fun. Now I just want to remind everybody, nobody has put up a big purse here. There's no race to win. We're just out to have fun today and to learn more about our cars. So every corner has a turn in, an apex, and a track out point. As you go through, you'll adjust to the ones we suggest for your car, but those are three important spots on every corner. As you come out of turn one, remember I said stay to the inside of the apex. You're going to track out the left. You'll get pretty close to the near the rumble strips as you come left tracking out. You're now going to head down through corner two, which isn't much of a corner. You won't even find it, I bet, most of the time, and to corner three. As you do that, there's a point on the Briggs & Stratton sign. You go right under that point. It gives you a good mark. You come down towards turn three, and you can kind of aim at a building down there. It's a door that we could point you out, and that's your turn-in point. You run out of racetrack just when you stop running out of track. You turn in. Turn in. The apex again is on your right for turn three. Then you track out just short of the rumble strips on the left. Don't go out on the rumble strips, but up near the end of the rumble strips on the left. And that lines you up to head down to turn four. You're going to go under the beautiful Sargento Bridge. There's been a semi-truck parked on that bridge as long as I can remember, but it's a great marker because turn four is another one. You're not going to find it. You're going to say, what turn four? It's really a little bit of a turn there, but if you're driving your car right, it's going to disappear. So what you're going to do is you're going to look up at that bridge, because you always want to have your eyes up as you're driving. You want to be looking way out ahead, not right close. And your car is always going to go where you're looking. You go up and you want to go right behind the rear duals of that tractor as you go up under the Sargento Bridge. You're going to come over the hill. Now you're going to start going downhill through turn four, heading to turn five. This is one of the fastest parts of Road America. Turn five, though, is the slowest corner on the track. So as you come down to turn five, you'll look out in the distance as soon as you start, and you'll see the scoreboard. The scoreboard is a good aiming point. It's way over by turn 14, but you can see it. So you kind of aim for that as you come down. That'll give you nice straight line braking coming down into turn five. And you adjust a little bit. There's a porta potty down there. It hides behind the safety truck. I look for that. And then you come down in there to turn five, and when you get over to the rumble strips, that's your turn-in point. About the center of the rumble strips on the left is your apex. And track back out as you head up the hill towards turn six. And you'll see, and you'll just about track out to the rumble strips, but not quite. I'm going to talk about rumble strips later with you. So now you're headed up towards the Corvette Bridge. Right after the Corvette Bridge is corner six, a hard left-hand turn. You can't see it till you're past the bridge, but it's there. So you're going uphill. When you go uphill and you crest the hill, what happens? Well, when you're on the roller coaster, you get real light. Same thing happens when you're driving the car. So get all your braking done for turn six before you get to the Corvette Bridge. You go under the bridge. Again, you're on the right-hand side. You're making a left-hand turn. Apex is about halfway through the rumble strips again. Track out nicely. Here, if you're going to want a short shift, go up an extra gear between 6 and 7, because 7 is a very fast corner. So next corner you're going to do, you're going to need to come back over to the left side as you come out of 6. And like I said, short shift as you do it. That'll slow you down enough for turn 7. Back on the power. Apex come over to the right. Apex about the center of the rumble strips again. Track out to the left. And about the rumble strips again. You're going to be in good shape. Now you're coming down, hurry down towards turn 8. You're going to need to move over to the right for turn 8. Again, look for people passing you if it's a passing zone, or look for your opportunity to pass if it's a passing zone. Move over to the right. As you come down into turn 8. Turn 8 is a left-hander. Right about where the pavement changes, you'll see it. You turn in again, about center of the rumble strips. On the left is your apex, and then track out to the right. As soon as you track out on the right, come back a little bit to the left. I personally like to take the next two corners, we call it the carousel, corners 9 and 10, as a single apex corner. Talk to some other professional drivers that are much better than me. They like to multi-apex it. A lot depends on your car. But I like to come in just between the D and E of Speedville, or the D and the V of Speedville, right in that area, under the bridge, and start making the bend around the carousel. You're either going to be steady speed or slight increase as you go around. You'll come down, and where the painted rumble strips end on the right-hand side is where I like to apex. Then you'll see a patch on the left-hand side up ahead, and track out on that patch. Now, if for some reason you go out on the grass at all, don't panic, don't worry, do everything gently, come back on the track gently. Don't make any sudden movements, because now you're coming into the fastest corner on Road America's next, corner 11, also known as the kink. A lot of people get worried about the kink. That is, unless we're running the bend with your group today. I'll talk about the kink first, then I'll talk about the bend, because we run both with cars. We always run the bend with bikes. As you come into the kink, you're going to want to move over. You're going to coming in on the left, and you want to be all the way over on the far left. Come down, rumble strips on the right again, and track out. Now there's rumble strips followed by smooth pavement that goes from painted to unpainted. You want to end up on that unpainted extra little bit of pavement on the kink. Some very important things not to do if we're running the kink. Don't lift or do anything sudden going through the kink. Make sure you get all the way out to your apex, and make sure you get all the way out to your track out. Doing anything else will unsettle the car. Also, do not jump on the brakes or jump on the accelerator going through, because it will unsettle the stability of your car and you'll have problems. You hear about all the accidents at the kink. Most of them are because of people getting too excited when they have a little problem. Believe it or not, there's enough room at the exit of the kink that I can drive 2 safety trucks side by side in the grass without touching. Doesn't look like it when you're at speed, but there's enough room there. Now let's back up. If we come out of the carousel and we're going to run the bend, the entrance to the bend is a left-hander right under the Hawk, right after you go under the Hawk Bridge. It's the same apex as turn 5, the same radius, I'm sorry, as turn 5. So it's the same turn in, apex, and track out as turn 5. So you're going to need to get to the right-hand side of the track, make a left into the bend, and the right-hander in the bend is again the same radius as turn 5. You've already taken this corner at turn 5, you're just going to take it 2 more times. Now you have basically a straight shot at the kink. Slows you down before you're near the walls. We use it a lot of times for car clubs and different groups to make it much safer. It's a very technical corner. It's a great learning corner. People always say, oh, everybody runs the kink, we want to run the kink, but the bend is a great learning corner. It's an opportunity for you to become a better driver. Now we're in the Kettle Bottoms. We have 11B down there as a corner station. There's no real, there's a little bit of back and forth with the track. You know, and if you happen to go off, one thing to realize, the track at the kink, the track's coming back to the left in just a little bit, so it'll come back to you, so you don't have to hurry up to the right to get back. That's the people that hit on the right. They try to get in a hurry. We'll come on down to corner 12, also known as Canada Corner. As you're coming in, you want to be on the left, and there's a pavement change you'll see. At that pavement change is your turn-in point. This is a little bit later apex corner, not quite in the middle of the rumble strips on the right, but a little bit past. You'll apex, track out again to the left on the rumble strips, and this will set you up for the Bill Mitchell bend. The Bill Mitchell bend, you'll start at 12, which is also known as corner 13. You'll start exiting 12, you'll be on the left. You'll come over to the right by the painted rumble strips, back over to the left, where to about the middle of the painted rumble strips on the left, and then you'll track out on the right. There's a lot of racetrack all of a sudden. As you're tracking back to the right, you'll see there's a white line. That means once you go past, because we have a short course we can run, and that's where that goes. It's also for emergency vehicle entrances and everything, and that's where you can go, and you can go off there. Don't go way past that white line. Maybe a foot or 2 across, that's it, because you're going to have to come way back to the left for turn 14. Turn 14, as you come out of 13, come back to the left, aim for where the tire wall meets the concrete wall. You go straight for that location. As you come up, when you're running, you feel you're at the end of the racetrack, there's no more pavement coming up in front of you, turn to the right, very late apex corner. Now, after you apex turn 14 is decision, and that you better make this decision before you do it, but you've made the decision, I'm going to stay out or I'm going to pit. If I'm going to stay out, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to track out all the way to the left to the rumble strips, start up the front straight. If I'm going to pit, stay to the right after the apex, stay out of everybody's way, start slowing down, because the pit entrance is down there on the right, and you go up the hill into the pit lane. If you're going to stay on this front straight, I like to call, okay, now's the time to check my gauges, check my belts, and make sure nobody's trying to pass me or to pass somebody. You're going to be going uphill on the front straight, under the cap bridge, up to the starter stand. You're still going uphill. After you get past the starter stand, you're finally going to be starting to go slightly downhill in turn 1. Let's talk about turn 5 a little more. Turn 5 in a lot of sessions, depending on how your group sets it up, is where we're going to exit the track. It's also, if you're having a mechanical problem, and you've gotten all the way to turn 2, 3, 4, matter of fact, from the Sargento Bridge all the way down to 4, it's downhill. So if you lose power, push the clutch in, you'll get there. And that you can come round and you can get off at turn 5. If it's the end of session, you see the checker at start finish and we're exiting there. Turn 4 is going to show you a sign that says exit next turn. Turn 5 is going to show you a sign, exit here. Just drive straight ahead. Looking at it, I know it looks like all you see is tires and fence, but there's actually an area that you can slalom through all those tires and fencing and concrete walls, and you'll get down, and just before you see some wreckers and rollbacks and other heavy equipment sitting, there's a road to the right. That's the paddock road. Turn right, come up the paddock road. Remember, speed limit on the paddock road is 15 to 20 miles an hour. So keep your speeds down. It might be your child or your grandchild or somebody's friend's child or something running around. They don't think about that. Or it might be one of your buddies coming up from going out and grabbing something they forgot, had to run into the store for, and coming up from the tunnel as you make that turn. And if you stop for that stop sign, make sure they don't hit you. So just kind of think of that when you're coming up into the paddock. So that's a lap. That's how we're going to get off the track. What if we do have a problem out there? Well, the first most important thing is if you have a mechanical problem with your car, if you go off the racetrack and you can't continue, or if you go in one of our pea gravel pits, got a lot of pea gravel pits out there to catch you if you have a problem. If you go into one of our pea gravel pits and you cannot drive out of it, sometimes you can drive out. Don't spin your tires. If you spin your tires, you're stuck, we'll come get you. If you can drive out, that's okay. If you go off the track, that's okay. We realize it happens. Come in and check your car, but it happens. The corner workers will point you, if you can see one, they'll point you when it's safe to go. If you can't see a corner worker, make sure you don't pull out in front of somebody. Remember, you're going 0-5 miles an hour. They're going 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 miles an hour, 120. So remember that when you're pulling back out. And if there is a corner worker that can show you, have the corner worker point you on track first. Get on track safely. Now, you can't continue. Your car broke down, you're stuck, whatever. Just stop, stay in the car. If you don't see smoke or flames, if you see a little smoke, stay in the car. It might be steam, and that if you have an airbag pop, it's not a fire. There's going to be smoke in your car from that airbag popping. Stay in your car. It's with your seat belts on, with your helmet on. It's the safest place to be. We'll get emergency vehicle to you. Well, let's talk about a few other things here at Road America. You know, it's not always a bright sunny day when we run here at Road America. Sometimes we have a little rain. So when you're going around the track, I just got through describing to you a great racing line around the track and how to get around. I don't have time in this video to really teach you the rain line, but I want to talk about it a little bit. The rain line is a little different line you use when it's raining out. The reason is that as it rains, every car loses a little bit of lubricants as it goes around the track, and that starts to work its way up to the surface. Also, the rain itself makes it a little slippery. Where we usually race, the track is more polished, and there's more of those lubricants, so it gets slippery quickly when it's wet. You move a little bit off that line. You'll square off your corners a little bit instead of taking normal racing line. When you go through the carousel, instead of staying a little bit to the center like I described before, you're going to stay all the way out by the white line around the carousel until you exit it, because that is where you're going to have the most grip in the rain. If we have a rain day, get with a coach, get with somebody experienced to explain the rain lines to you around the different corners. I mentioned before the rumble strips around the track. Those were put in as an area, and sometimes after the rumble strips there's smooth asphalt, like in turns 1, 5, 6, 8, 12. There's smooth asphalt afterwards for recovery. If you go in too fast, you go past them. But the rumble strips are very bumpy, and a lot of them, like in 1 and 5 and 8 and 12, they start out not too bad. Oh, that isn't bad to be out on. But as you go out farther on, they get very bumpy. They're going to unsettle your suspension in your car enough that it can spin around on you. And even worse, I've actually seen the airbags fire off on street cars because of going over the rumble strips. Or in the case of a couple unlucky competitors, their inertia switches that shut down the fuel pump in case of a rollover shut the car off. Turn the fuel off to it. So you don't want to run out on the rumble strips. Very important to remember. They're there to let you know that's not part of the racetrack. You'll see professional drivers go out there, oh, I can get a couple more seconds. Well, you see them once in a while, they end up in the wall from going out there, and they have problems too. So those are a couple things to really mention. Now, you've came around the track and you see the checkered flag. I mentioned this early on. If you see it at turn 14, depending on what we have briefed you on and what's in the written rules for your event, that usually they want you to come into the pit lane there. More often than that, though, we're going to show it at the start-finish. Now again, refer to the rules of your event. Maybe you're going to get a full cool-down lap. We'll talk about cool-down laps in a minute. Or a partial cool-down lap to turn 5. I mentioned how you can exit at 5. Again, you see the checker on the bridge. If we're exiting at 5, start your cool-down lap. The sign at 4 will say exit next turn, and at turn 5, exit here. Go straight ahead towards those tires, and you'll see where you can zigzag through the tires. After you come out of the tires, you'll probably see an ambulance sitting on the right if it's not on a call, and right in front of you, you'll see a wrecker, rollback, and some other heavy equipment. There's a road, turn right, that takes you right over to the main road that came into the paddock. So that's how we exit. Now, when we start our sessions, just going back, remember I mentioned this before, I just want to remind you, you're going to see either a yellow flag the first time you go out, maybe just your first session, maybe your first 2, or a white flag. White flag, we use those sometimes just to let you know where all the corner workers are. More often than that, we'll start your first session with a yellow flag. That's done for 2 reasons. One is to remind you where the corner workers are. The other one to remind you your first lap out is a warm-up lap. It's to warm up your brain, your car's engine and oil, and cooling system, your car's tires, and everything else on that first lap out. So that's a warm-up lap, and after the checker, that's a cool-down lap. Cool-down lap is not see if I can beat my buddy into turn 1. Cool-down lap is just what it says. Slow down, cool down the brakes, let those brake rotors and everything cool down. So you're not jumping on the brakes as hard. Come on around, whether it's a full lap or just a turn 5, and then get off the track. Some very important things to remember is your warm-up and your cool-down laps. Some other things I would like you to remember as you're out there. Road America eats brakes. It is one of the fastest tracks, I think it's the fastest track in the United States of road courses, but it has some of the slowest corners. To think you're going to come into turn 5 at well over 100 miles an hour, and you're going to go through turn 5 somewhere between 45 and 70 miles an hour. I mean, an Indy car doesn't even really go through at a full 70 with downforce and everything. That's a lot of slowing down and a lot of wowing up. The brakes are doing a lot of work. You have the same situation going into turn 12. Keep that in mind as you're going around the track. And after each session, check your brakes, check your brake fluid. And while you're going around, if all of a sudden your brake pedal starts getting soft, don't think, oh, it'll be all right at the next corner. Slow it down, check it out before you really jump on again. If it comes back, great. If not, bring it in the pits, get it checked. It will eat up your brakes. Also remember, make sure there's nothing in your car before you go out. I know checked it and everything, but darn, the smallest thing will come out of the weirdest spots when you have a sudden motion on the track. And I don't know about you, but it always either gets lodged under my brake pedal or accelerator pedal, and neither one is good. When I want to go, I want to be able to put that accelerator down. When I want to stop, I want to be able to put that brake pedal down. Those are just a few things to remember. We ask that you be safe, follow the rules of the event for how you're supposed to pass, windows up or down, depending on what your event says. If you have a sunroof, make sure to keep it closed because it's in the strongest position when it's closed. Let's have a lot of fun out there. And always feel free to ask me any questions you have, or if I'm up in race control, you're always welcome to visit. Let's have a fun day.
5 liters heading by. Carding up. 5 liters heading by. Carding up.